Welcome back to the Banganator podcast, brought to you by your host, Esley Banga. Episode 12, week 12. I hope all of y'all had a good Thanksgiving, a good Thanksgiving week. Maybe some of y'all went Black Friday shopping. Hope y'all enjoyed the weekend. But how about them Cowboys winning 28-20 on Turkey Day? We were eating pies and turkey and all the food you can think of and all the desserts you can think of at my parents' crib while watching the Cowboys demolish the Giants. And the game was really closer than it looked. We still got that dub. Giants are still an afterthought in the NFC East. And we're sitting pretty. We're sitting pretty. Second place in the NFC East. But before I continue, thank you to all my subscribers and everybody who views my videos. Let's get to it. First of all, it was nice to see the Cowboys in their throwback uniforms that they always used to wear on Thanksgiving. So I'm so glad to see it. Those white helmets together with that uniform. It just hits different. But 28-20 was the final score. Dak Prescott had 21 completions out of 30 attempts. 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. So going forward, you got to limit the interceptions, especially if you want to win playoff games later on or get yourself in good playoff positioning, first of all, and then in the playoffs, two interceptions isn't going to cut it. That's going to get you beat. Other teams are going to capitalize on that. So, but he didn't have to throw for a whole bunch of touchdowns because in the second half, we dominated. Our defense stepped up. Ezekiel Elliott with 92 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott, he looked like vintage Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard, surprisingly, he didn't do a whole lot, but that was fine. As long as one of our running backs are doing their job, they're doing good, that's all you can ask for. CeeDee Lamb, my goodness, making catches all over the field. One-handed catches. I swear they're trying to recruit Odell. Not I swear, they are. Hey, like they said on the broadcast, the best form of flattery is imitation. So CeeDee Lamb had a big game, making a bunch of catches. He stepped up for me in fantasy football as well. He showed why he can be a number one receiver. Another person that was really good in the receiving game was Dalton Schultz, my fantasy football tight end, and Dak Prescott's go-to target. He had 2 touchdowns of his own. So I'm really proud of that guy. I'm glad that he got over his injury mid-season, and it looks like he's back. The defense did their job as well. They kept the Giants to 13 points up until the last 2 minutes of the game, after which the game was already out of reach. It was already over. But 3 total sacks. Micah Parsons with 2 of them. I'm going to tell y'all again, I've been saying it all season, since like the second or third game. Micah Parsons is the defensive player of the year this year. Ain't no way around it. So defense did good. No interceptions, unfortunately. We didn't have to do that against Daniel Jones. But I do want us to keep up having interceptions later in the season so that we can carry that into the playoffs and really succeed. By the way, Cowboys versus Giants last week on Thanksgiving, 42 million viewers. Highest viewership in NFL history for a regular season game. So we are America's team. Say what y'all want. Not for the right reasons. We should be America's team because we're winning. But we're America's team because year in and year out, we keep getting the most viewership. Haters and lovers alike always want to watch the Dallas Cowboys. So that being said, we face the Colts on Sunday Night Football, once again thrust in the primetime spotlight. I'm going to be at that game. I got tickets to go with the first guest on this show, Andrew. We going together. So I got tickets to that game. It's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a fun time, and I can't wait to see the Cowboys demolish the Colts. Based on how the Colts have been playing all season, they've been trash. Matt Ryan been trash. It's time for him to retire. So we're gonna win that game, probably by 2 touchdowns. Hey, Jeff Saturday, I'm happy that you got the head coaching job, but you got it for a reason because y'all was trash. Now it's time for my top 4 favorite things about Week 12 in the NFL in football terms. So on first down, my first favorite thing from Week 12 is Josh Jacobs. You see him right here putting the dagger on the Seattle Seahawks in overtime. My goodness, I'm so glad I have him in fantasy football. He had 229 rushing yards, 74 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. That one being the game winner. Yo, he might win Offensive Player of the Year this year. Stop playing with this man. On second down, my second favorite thing from Week 12 in the NFL was the Jaguars' comeback against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens were up 19-10 in the fourth quarter. I thought the Jags were done for. But then, on their last drive in the fourth quarter, the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence throws a perfect pass in the corner of the end zone. And that's to make it within 1 point of the Baltimore Ravens. And then, gutsy call, they go for 2 and they make it. Like, wow, come on, Baltimore Ravens, y'all got to step up. Y'all think y'all playoff contenders? Y'all playoff pretenders right now. I think that's the third double-digit comeback that they've given up and lost because of that. Like, wow. But that was an amazing, tense game. On third down, my third favorite thing from Week 12 in the NFL was CeeDee Lamb's one-handed catch on the sideline. Y'all see that acrobatic catch? Like I had mentioned earlier, it looked like he was trying to actively recruit Odell Beckham Jr. Best form of flattery is imitation. So nice catch, CD, and that set up a go-ahead touchdown that Dalton Schultz capped on. On fourth down, my fourth favorite thing from Week 12 in the NFL was Jalen Hurts getting 157 rushing yards all over the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Just look at some of these runs. He's an amazing quarterback. He's leading the Philadelphia Eagles to the number 1 seed in the NFC for a reason. So he's definitely in the MVP conversation. Probably like the third or fourth player that deserves MVP consideration. So it hurts to say as a Cowboys fan, because, you know, those are the filthy Eagles. But, hey, I got to give credit where credit is due. And that was some big-time playmaking right there. Now it's time to talk about my Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns got that dub 38-27 against Baylor. Hook 'em. Last game of the season. Senior day. So the seniors, they've been putting in work, and I thank them for their contributions, and the seniors that aren't going to wear that jersey any longer. But Quinn Ewers, he went 12 of 16, 12 completions out of 16 attempts for 194 yards. And he threw 0 touchdowns. He did have 1 rushing touchdown by himself, though, but he didn't even need to throw any touchdowns. The rushing game was where it was at. Bijan Robinson, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. Roschon Johnson, the second string, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. So Bijan Robinson is a junior. He has to decide that if he wants to come back next year. Our defense was putting in work, got interception, and we were getting sacks. So it was nice to get that dub. Unfortunately, we will not be playing in the Big 12 championship against TCU. Kansas State took that hope away from us by beating Kansas in their last game. So if we wanted a shot being in the Big 12 title, if we wanted to be in there, we had to win against Baylor, which we did, but Kansas had to beat K-State. And that didn't happen. So we just played our last game of the season. So I'll see the Longhorns next season. It's been fun. It's been a nice ride, some disappointments. We'll see what happens next season. But I'm going to have to turn my attention to Texas men's and with Texas women's basketball now. What a great win for me in fantasy football this week. I won and demolished my cousin who I played in fantasy football this week. 152-102. I got revenge because he's the one who beat me, if I remember correctly, week 1 of fantasy football. So it felt so great to get revenge. And not only that, y'all know how I started 0-3 in fantasy football. Now I'm all the way in second place. And like I've mentioned earlier, top 2 seeds get a bye week in the playoffs. So let's go. I never gave up throughout the season, and this is my 3rd win in a row. My biggest playmakers were Josh Jacobs, as I mentioned earlier. He got me 48 points. Both Dalton Schultz and Samaje Perine got me 19 points. I noticed that Joe Mixon was out, so I replaced him with Samaje Perine. I was quick to pick him up on the waiver wires. That paid off. And CeeDee Lamb, he got me 17 points. We all saw the spectacular catches that he was making on Thanksgiving against the Giants. And most everybody else got me double-digit points. So I was in the clear. And the person that really got me that dub is Josh Jacobs. So I don't think I'm favored to win in my next matchup. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm in the playoffs for sure. I think there's 2 or 3 weeks left until the playoffs starts for fantasy football. So I'm in the playoffs for sure now. I just got to keep stacking the dubs, and hopefully I can get that bye week. I hope y'all enjoyed this packed episode of the Banganator podcast. Please press that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get that dub against the Colts. I'm going to be there on Sunday night, AT&T Stadium. It's going to be badass. Let's go, Cowboys. Let's get that win.
The Banganator podcast is brought to you by Esley Banga, diehard fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1997. How about them Cowboys?